Hey everyone, welcome to Sara's Cooking Show. My name is Sara Johnson and thanks for coming back. I really appreciate the new subscribers too, so if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And make sure you like the video too. Press like, I love it. Today we're making salmon, roasted potato wedges, and a cucumber and tomato salad. Perfect for a summer day. So we're gonna get started right now. So to get started, I'm just going to salt and pepper the salmon. I'm going to use my sea salt as usual. I love salmon. I've been having it a lot lately. I'm going to do both sides too. So just turn it over, and this does not have the skin on it. I don't particularly like the skin, so I kind of really like the ones that I'm getting right now. So I'm going to put a little more salt on this side. And it may look like I'm over salting, but some of the salt's going to come off in the pan. So we'll just... Plus it's sea salt, right? All right, so the salmon's ready. So what I'm gonna do now is get my potatoes and I'm gonna wedge them. And I have a bowl to put them in. And the oven, I wanna make sure I don't knock that bowl over. The oven I heated up to 425 degrees. I'm gonna put them in this bowl and I'm gonna toss them with some olive oil, salt and pepper, and then I'm going to spread them evenly on the pan and bake them in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. It really depends on how you like your doneness of potatoes. I like them really crispy, so I tend to leave them in a little bit longer. The reason why I'm using olive oil and not some other kind of oil like vegetable oil is I'm really getting away from vegetable oils. I don't know if you've seen anything written, but soy oil, I just can't deal with it. It's in everything. And the problem with soy oil is too much of it can raise your omega-6, which can lower your immunity. So olive oil is one of the oils that's a good oil. So I'm gonna keep using olive oil and butter. Butter is not bad for you, as long as you don't eat a stick of it all at once. So let me get my sharp knife. And what I'm gonna do is cut them down like this. And just keep going until I have the desired thinness. You can make them as thin as you want, and if you make them thin, then you can probably have less baking time. Just keep an eye on it now. And of course I like to have these with ketchup. So once I'm done, I just toss them in the bowl. I kind of think of potatoes having the consistency of an apple. They're about the same. When you cut through them, they kind of feel like apples. So the next thing is salt and pepper. Salt and pepper, good salt and pepper goes with just about everything. I encourage the use of salt and pepper only on, like, if you're gonna have a steak, I would just use salt and pepper. I don't think you need anything else, especially if it's a good steak. So now I'm going to take my olive oil, and drizzle in about a tablespoon, keeping in mind that these are going to sort of fry in the oven in the pan. So I'm going to take my spatula and just toss them around a little bit. I want to make sure that the salt and pepper and the olive oil gets everywhere on the potatoes. And I'm just going to put a little more salt and pepper. Perfect. Now, as I put these in the oven, I'm going to set the timer, and when the timer reaches about halfway, so we'll say about 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to take them out of the oven and toss them around so that I get even baking on both sides as best I can. So here's my sheet pan, and you can use any sheet pan you like. As long as it's heavy, this is going in a really hot oven, so the heavier the sheet pan, the better, because it won't buckle, although it may buckle a little bit. Every time I've used one of these pans, although these are nice and thick, I do hear a little bit of a crack when they're in a really hot oven. But these are really good pans. So what I want to do, and the reason why I'm using a spatula is so I can get out all the seasoning and the olive oil. So now I'm just going to spread them around. There we go. And in the oven they go. So I've got a pretty large cucumber here, and I've got 3 tomatoes. So instead of using a Cuisinart, I'm going to do this by hand. You know, I'm not the best at knife skills, so actually doing it this way, I kind of get to practice my knife skills. So I'm just going to try to cut the thinnest layers possible. So I've got my cucumbers. Now I'm going to get my tomatoes and slice those up. And I'm generally going to kind of slice them the same way I did the cucumbers. I'm just going to take the end off like this. And then slice them as best I can. Regrettably, I didn't sharpen this knife before I started my show today, but getting through them okay. One thing about this knife is I notice as I cut tomatoes, it gets less and less sharp. Oh boy, these are tomatoes that are grown in Maine. They come in a little box. And ever since I saw them at the grocery store, I've been buying them because they're so delicious. Tomatoes kind of remind me of red wine a little bit. Okay, now my fresh basil. I'm gonna get the big stems off and kind of roll this up a little bit and then just kind of slice through, missing my fingers. That just looks beautiful, but I'm not done yet. I'm gonna make my dressing to go on here, and what the dressing is gonna do is marinate the cucumber and tomato and the basil, and it just makes a really delightful side dish for any barbecue that you're doing. Okay, so now it's time to make our dressing, and this is gonna be delicious. So mainly, it's olive oil and balsamic vinegar. So the first thing I'm gonna do, and I have this special cup that I've gotten. I think I got it at Amazon. It's by OXO, and it has measuring on the side, and that's milliliters and then cups. So you can choose whichever one you want. If you live in Canada, you're gonna use the milliliters. If you're in America, you're gonna use the cups. Or maybe the milliliters, but you know what? We weren't even taught that in school. They took it away from us. They started and then they said, oh, nope, we're not doing the metric system anymore. I'm like, okay, cool. But actually, I kind of wish I knew it now. So now the rule is basically 2 to 1. So I'm gonna do 1 part vinegar and 2 parts olive oil. So I'm gonna go to the quarter mark on here. And then I'm gonna put in my olive oil, and I'm gonna put in twice as much olive oil that I did vinegar. So that's about the 3/4 mark. The next thing I'm going to do is salt and pepper. And a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. And this is the best kind you can get as far as I'm concerned, Lee & Perrins. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that in. Not too much, just to give it a little edge. And that's it. It's super easy. And this is actually one of the most flavorful salad dressings you can make. There's no sugar. It's got a really good oil in it. I'm gonna give it a good shake. Now I'm gonna pour a lot of it on top of the cucumber and tomato salad. So now I'll just go over it like this. And it pours really easy too out of this vessel. So the potato wedges are done. They took about 25 minutes, and I did flip them over and bake them on the other side. They're delicious. I already tried one. I like them nice and golden brown like this. That's how I make my hash browns too. And I'm going to do a show about breakfast one of these days. Hash browns, of course. Our pan is ready, so I'm going to go ahead and put in one of the pieces of salmon and just push it to the side. Then I'm gonna get my other piece and push it over. And I'm heating this in my cast iron pan, as you can probably see from one of the cameras. And I'm also using some butter and some olive oil. If this was really thick salmon, I would probably cook it on one side, flip it over, then put it in the oven. I may still do that, but this is pretty thin salmon, so I might not have to do that. But the key is I let the potatoes be done before I started the salmon. The potatoes will stay hot, they're potatoes, until the salmon is done, just in case I need to throw it in the oven. And I'm using my cast iron pan because this can go in the oven well around 500 degrees or even a little bit higher, likely. Cast iron is one of my favorite things to cook on. I've had this particular cast iron pan for, God, almost 30 years at least. Our salmon is just about done. I flipped it over, and it's gonna probably take a couple more minutes. After it's done, I'm gonna transfer it to a plate, and I'm gonna add a little more butter to the pan and some lemon and just kind of swish it around a little bit. And then as I plate my salmon, I'm gonna pour some of that over the salmon, and it's gonna be delicious. It's gonna add a little more fat to our salmon and some tanginess from the lemon. So now I'm gonna add a little more butter to the pan, about a teaspoon. So there's already some fat in the pan, but I want to get it in there quickly while the pan's really hot. And I've already de-seeded this lemon, so I'm going to go ahead and, wait, there's one more seed. Maybe that's not a seed. I'm going to go ahead and squirt my lemon in. I love hearing the sizzle of that. It's really, really great. And then a little more lemon. And I'm feeling it actually come up and hit my hand as I put it in. Alright, so I've got everything plated. The only thing I have to do is get my lemon and butter sauce and get it on the fish. So I'm just going to pour it on like this. A little bit. Oh my God. This looks so delicious. I'm going to take a little piece of potato and try that. Nice and crispy. So I have a fork, so now I can taste the salmon. Let's take a little piece off like that. Oh my God, this looks so delicious. Delicious and so flavorful. One more bite. Oh my God, that's so good. Now let me try the cucumber and tomato salad. Wow, just perfect. If you want to make this with your loved ones, I'm going to have the recipe up on sarascookingshow.com. You can also watch videos on there too. They actually come from YouTube, but it's a cool way to get to my videos of other stuff that I've done. sarascookingshow.com. It should be right down below where I'm talking, where I'm pointing on the video. I'll have more videos coming up very soon. I've got a lot planned for the rest of the summer, and even some cake baking and cake decorating, which I'm getting into. So that's coming up in a few episodes. Thanks for watching, everybody.